Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever may be the case. I say, my name, Cecil Young, coming to you live and in color from Soundview Media here in Stratford, Connecticut. I've been asking you to tune into the Cecil Young Show because I have about 35 to 40 shows actually repeating the same situation pertaining to my civil rights being violated by city and state officials. And I know that from time to time I've gotten a little funny in terms of speaking over the mic, speaking over the sound that I be putting up on display at time to time, but I'm gonna try to slow it down a little bit today because I want you to truly understand where I'm coming from, because this may be my last call in terms of what I have to say in terms of me speaking out about public issues. And it's a shame and a disgrace that I have to feel that way, but when you look at all of what I've been through, what I have to still go through in order to get the justice that's been denied me, okay, I say shame on the city, shame on our elected officials, and those of them who we put in office to represent us as they claim they were to do so. But you see, in my case, that has not been the case. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a number of different exhibits that I pointed out before over the last 35 shows that I did in the past, showing that the city was not justifiable in terminating me. What troubles me is that here it is, you got a letter here in 2005 where I was out, okay, because of a leg injury, and you see here, it's known as a loop. This is the same loop that was given in 2006, okay? Now this loop here was Dr. Walters' signature. This is one that they accepted in 2005. It troubles me that here it is in 2006, okay, they had a problem with the same doctor's note, all right, that you will hear later on down the road where I will show you that the Albert Murphy called the doctor's note literally strips of paper, which I will give you that information as well shortly after. My point is here is that this was signed by the nurse. This was not good enough, even though nurses have been known to sign off for doctors in terms of their patients coming in for different medical purposes or whatever may be the case. And in my case, that was the case here. But it was denied. They didn't accept that. They wanted to know exactly what was my diagnosis for, okay, and so on. So what I did was my nurse ended up putting in that I was being treated for extreme anxiety. Okay, it troubled me that giving them that information, telling them that I was being treated for extreme anxiety, that still wasn't good enough for them, okay, because it was still signed by the nurse, so they wanted it signed by the doctor. Okay, to make a long story short, this is the fourth one that I received from Dr. Walters, him again signing off on this, indicating that yes, this is Dr. Walters' doctor's notes that he normally sends out for his patients, okay, pertaining to them being out on medical leave or whatever request. In my case here, you see it was denied, okay, and it was denied, and I want to know why. Here it is, Dr. Walters with the same signature that he had in the past in terms of in 2005. This is the same signature that the city and the labor board gave the impression that these were literally strips of paper. All right, this is what Albert Murphy called these doctor's notes, literally scraps of paper. And I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you the reason why they said that. Was because of the kickback, was because of the fraud, and there's outright blatant fraud involved in this matter, and that's why I want you to take your time to really look at exactly what I'm saying. What I will be pointing out to you is information that will validate everything that I've said here, okay? And it really troubled me that that has been a situation where even for me to go to my labor relations department and ask them for a medical leave request, as you see here, it was not acceptable. Jody Paul. And the question is, why would Jody Paul not accept my medical leave request from a doctor?
Yes, this letter is dated March 10, 2006, from Labor Relations. Dear Mr. Young, a copy of your doctor's note was received today in this office. However, this documentation is still not acceptable as it does not provide a diagnosis/reason for your absence. Therefore, your absence is considered an unauthorized absence. In accordance with the city attendance policy, upon an unauthorized absence of 3 or more consecutive days, the employee will be deemed to have resigned from employment. You must return to work immediately, or you will be deemed to have voluntarily resigned your position as a security guard with the City of Bridgeport. If you have any questions, please call your union representative, Jody L. Paul.
And you know what troubles me is that you've seen here very plainly, it shows in 2006 it indicated that I was being treated for extreme anxiety. Shame on the City of Bridgeport for allowing them to lie and continue to cover up this unethical tactics that they use against me because of me complaining about these terminated dirt piles. It also troubles me too as well is to also have the Labor Relations Department from Janet Finch in her remarks pertaining to my doctor's note not being adequate enough.
Yes, the letter is dated March 17th, which is a week later, 2006. Dear Mr. Young, our office is in receipt of your application for family and medical leave. Based upon the reason for leave that you provided, your request has been denied. Your reason for leave does not meet the requirements of a serious health condition or any other reason for leave as defined under the Family and Medical Leave Act. If you have any questions regarding this decision, please contact the Office of Labor Relations. Signed, Janet M. Finch.
Shame, shame, shame for them to acknowledge the fact that this is not an acceptable reason for me to be out of work. I will show you at the end of the show that I was declared totally disabled because of this treatment that I've received from the city of Bridgeport. Now I'm going to point out to you, okay, that they gave the impression, all right, that I didn't come to work. And because I didn't come to work, here's what happened.
Letter dated March 20th, 2006, from the Department of Health and Social Services. Referencing unauthorized absence, dear Mr. Young, you were advised via a letter from Labor Relations dated 3/10/2006 that you must return to work immediately, or you will be deemed to have voluntarily resigned your position as a security guard with the city of Bridgeport. As of Friday, 3/17, you have not returned to work. There is no valid reason for your absence. Therefore, your absence is considered unauthorized, and your employment with the city is hereby terminated effective immediately. If you have any questions, please call your union representative. Signed, Marion Evans.
Now, you know, isn't it a shame that Dr. Mary Evans would allow me to come to work, even though she wrote over here that I was terminated for not coming to work? Here it is evidence that she allowed me to come to work on that date. Okay, it was signed by my supervisor, Ethan, and indicated to him that I would be going for a colon exam on the 17th, which is the following day. Shame, shame, shame on the city of Bridgeport and their so-called legal department. I say to the city of Bridgeport, why don't they get me the same kind of lawyers that they got investigating other matters pertaining to other city employees who claim that their rights were violated or whatever may be the case? Why is it that I can't get the city of Bridgeport to respond to my councilman, Ernest Newton, and Anita Martinez, after 19 years finally getting them to agree with me in terms of this matter need to be looked into, okay? And not having to be looked into is a shame and a disgrace. And I say the reason why it's not being allowed to be looked into is because they committed fraud. And I have overwhelming evidence to prove that Albert Murphy, Gerald Wayner, all right, had no business, okay, collecting the amount of money that they collected pertaining to my unjust termination, okay? When you know good and well, okay, that it shows here that terminated employees have a right to continue their medical benefits, okay, for 6 months, as long as they file a grievance within a timely fashion. I filed that grievance within a timely fashion, okay, the following day. Yet and still they deny me of my medical benefits, which forced me to have to put in for my retirement benefits in order to continue my insurance for me and my wife at the time. Okay. It also troubles me too as well. These are all Dr. Evans' notes that were received on that day on March 16, 2006. Okay. 1, 2, 3 notes by other parties. Here is my note indicating that on March 16, 2006 that I'll be going for a colon exam. It was signed by Dr. Evans' supervisor, my supervisor. You see the date, you see the time. Why would they sit there and lie on me and give the impression that she did not give me the okay to come to work when here it is my supervisor, Ethan, signed off on it and agreed to it. What also adds insult to injury, here it is me shaking the hands of Dr. Evans' nephew, okay? I colored out his face because I didn't want you to identify his face because of him being who young as he was, okay? But the fact of the matter is because I was a senior citizen, she told me, yes, senior citizen, you should be at home, relaxing yourself and all the above. No, I'm not that much of a senior citizen where I have to be at home relaxing myself. If I choose to want to continue working, so be it. Let me continue to work. Yet and still to add insult to what she did to me, to hire her nephew in the same position that I was in, okay, a union position, and the union allowed it to go on. Shame on them. And then for them to try to give me the impression that I need to sign off on this release in order to continue my benefits, I say shame on the city of Bridgeport. Shame on them to try to get me to sign off on this, okay? Why should I have to sign off on my benefits being denied me? Shame on the city of Bridgeport. And the only reason why I said they did that before was because of the fraud, because of the kickback. And that's what troubles me, okay? They got paid, okay? And you look over here, now as I said before, all right, Albert Murphy. All right, now here it is. He had what, 1, 2, 3, 4 hearings. What did he have 4 hearings about, Albert Murphy? I had 1 hearing with him as far as I can recall, pertaining to whether or not was the city justifiable in terminating me. They immediately said, basically, after me complaining with State Rep Ayala to look into my situation because they wasn't getting back with me, all right, it made him angry, I guess, to a point where he just said, hey, hold up, nah, I'm ruling against you, and he ruled against me. Knowing good and well, okay, that I should have been reinstated, okay, my benefits should have been restored, but it didn't because of him and his kickback. Again, like I said before, how in the world did he get paid this amount of money for hearings, 4 different hearings pertaining to me when I only had 1 hearing with him, and me and my union only met 1 time with him, okay? So I said, what are those other hearings about? I want documentation to show exactly what was the hearings about, who was involved in these hearings, okay? Because there should be records reflecting on what they did. Well, who was involved in these meetings? I wasn't there, but 1. And it troubles me, here it is, Mike Cohad, what really insult to injury is Mike Cohad, he was a part of this termination board, all right? He likewise got paid $225 in the beginning. All I'm gonna get this $225 automatically, just straight off the top. And for what? $225 to do what? To agree with the city, that the city was justifiable in terminating me, knowing that that was not the case, that the city was not justifiable in terminating me, which I will show you that. I've shown it to you over the last 35 to 40 shows that I've did. And you can download any one of these shows at any time, 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Download the Cecil Young Show, and you will get 35 to 40 different shows of me highlighting these civil rights violations and unethical acts and fraud by city and state officials, and been allowed to get away with it, even to a point where the governor has been fully aware of this situation as well. Now here it is, Mike Cohad agreed with them, with Murphy, in terms of the termination. Yet and still down here when it came to my medical benefits, okay? Right, the question is, why would he get paid 1, 2, 3, 4 hearings pertaining to my medical benefits when all he had to say was point blank, Cecil Young, me and Murphy agreed that the city was justifiable in terminating me. And that meant that you should not have been able to have another hearing that would allow you to get paid 3 or 4 different times pertaining to if whether or not the city was justifiable in terminating me and denying me my medical benefit. This is a medical benefits hearing. 1, 2, 3, 4 medical benefit hearings. With who? Now, we only had 1 medical benefit hearing, which I will show you on a tape recorder that I retaped the recording of that session with Mike Cohad, Albert, Gerald Wayner, okay, and myself, okay, and my wife Patricia Nichols as well, okay. And again, I say to myself, how in the world did Gerald Wayner get paid $850 to do what? $850 to say what? To Cecil Young, he voluntarily resigned? No, voluntarily resigned employees do not have the right to continue their medical benefits if they voluntarily resign. I did not voluntarily resign. And that's what troubles me. How in the world do they have 4, 2, 3, 4, 5 hearings pertaining to if whether or not was the Cecil terminated because, unjustly, or did he voluntarily resign? I say I was terminated. They say I voluntarily resigned. I got it on tape recorder. I got Murphy saying I was terminated. I got my co-head saying Murphy said I voluntarily resigned. I got Gerald Wayner saying that I voluntarily resigned. I got on recorded them saying that, but yet and still I showed you a time card showing you, okay, that I did not voluntarily resign, that I came to work. I came to work, and you've seen that. It's evident that I came to work. Yet and still, these high elected officials gave the impression that I voluntarily resigned, which is a shame and a disgrace. And I say to you, let's go to, and the reason why I say to you is the reason why they did it, that was because, how would you do that? And I said, like, how could they get away with that? And I said, now I gave my attorney John Williams, okay, $10,000 to basically make a long story short. And I said, why is this that the state labor board would rule against me, okay, knowing good and well that I have overwhelming evidence showing that the city was unjustly terminated me, okay? And they tried to cover it up by saying I voluntarily resigned later on after the fact. That was too late after the fact. And I'm gonna play a recording of that as well, okay? And it troubled me the reason why the city allowed it to go on was because Gerald Wayner, Mike Cohad, got awesome power. They've been on this board, chairman of the board, these commissioners, for years. For 20 years, Mike Cohad had been on this board. Gerald Wayne had been on the labor board chairman for 20 years. This is the reason why The reason why, okay, that the city ruled in favor of them, okay, because of the kickback. I said they committed fraud. And I said before, if I cannot prove that they committed fraud, I say, sue me, Gerald Wayner, sue me, Mike Coad. Okay, sue me all the above if I can't back up what I'm saying. And it really angers me, okay, because you know that that is overwhelming evidence proving, okay, that I was justifiable, they were not justifiable in terminating me. And here it is, the labor board the ruling. Now here's what Murphy ruled on and said. Can you believe what Murphy said? Did cover up for the city?
Yes, it's 1, 2, 3, 5 paragraphs down. In this case, the city was faced with a situation where an employee had been out of work for several weeks and attempted to justify his absence with what were literally scraps of paper. 2 of them were signed by a nurse, and the one which was signed allegedly by a doctor did not contain any description of the grievance, ailment, or diagnoses of any kind. Interesting enough, in a separate missive, Dr. Walters noted that he was not treating the grievant for the condition on which the grievant was blaming his troubles, but had referred the grievant to a psychiatrist. The conclusions are inescapable that the grievant was, or should have been, aware of the policy, that he was in violation of it, and what the consequences would be of continued failure to comply with it.
Sad, shame, shame, shame. You know, and it really made me thank God for Assistant Attorney General Mitchell, who sent this matter to the state auditors, who the auditors within a year's time came back with their conclusion as to whether or not the State Labor Board Commissioner committed fraud or not. And what troubles me is that now all of a sudden the state of Connecticut tells us now at the Attorney General's office that they can't disclose that information. Even if they did do wrong, they can't disclose of that because it's supposed to be confidentiality. My point is this. How is it that the state of Connecticut encourage whistleblowers to come forward? If the whistleblowers come forward, complain, and then the people that they complain about, okay, will reprisal against those persons who made the complaint against them. And the question is, what did I have to go through all this trouble for if I knew I wasn't going to get no protection from the state of Connecticut, from our state officials? Instead of them correcting these people for doing what they did to me, they covered it up. And I said, shame on them. Now I'm going to play the recorder, okay, of Dr. Evans and Jody Paul, and the remarks confirming the fact that I did come to work, even though they tried to give the impression that I didn't. And it also troubled me, too, is that the union, as they said, agreed with them. Okay, the union did not agree with them. The union told them to reinstate me and make me back whole, reinstate me back to that position that they took from me from the city. They told them to do that. But yet and still, they had to give the impression that the union was in agreement with the city. The union was not in agreement with the city. The union told them to reinstate me back to my position and make me whole. Okay, and that's what troubles me, okay? But still, I'm going to give you Dr. Evans' tape. Now, here's what caused the problem. Jody Paul. Is it on? Come on.
Thank you.
Let me take this out of here and see if I can throw Dr. Evans in there right fast to give a little reminiscence of Dr. Evans, what she was stating. I don't know if it's the right one or not. Maria. Sorry about that, y'all. Give me a minute or two. I'm going to get it right. That's what happens when you're moving fast. But the bottom line is that you see all of this overwhelming evidence. This is the stuff that was recorded from the recorders. This is the Dr. Evans' remarks and Jody Paul's remarks. These are recorded remarks that were being made that you're hearing about today. Okay, and I'm going to show you the rest of it. The bottom line is that what really troubles me is that for the city of Bridgeport to have Councilman Newton and Councilman Martinez to request that they look into my situation. Dr. Evans. You heard Dr. Evans confirm the fact that I was at work as well. So you got Jody Paul and Dr. Evans confirming the fact that I was at work. You got Albert Murphy saying that I came with literally straps of paper, which was a lie. Okay, you see that I didn't voluntarily resign. I was terminated. Okay, and this is what troubled me is that I had Councilman Ernest Newton and Anita Martinez. After 19 years, I finally got Anita to be able to put pressure with Councilman Newton to see that they do something about my unjust termination in terms of looking into it. And I would hope to God that as the mayor had hired other attorneys to look into other city officials who were terminated or other matters in the past, they had private attorneys to come in to help them to see if whether or not the city was justifiable in dealing with them. I say likewise, would they do the same for me? Would they do the same for me because my two council members are saying that they want this matter looked into and to have it be going a whole year now? And this was the letter was sent to them in 2008, 2020, 25. and April 8th, 2025, Ernest Newton and Councilman Martinez requested that they look into my unjust termination and to get back to them so we can go over to see if whether or not the city was justifiable in terminating me. And thank God that George Cruz, the Assistant Deputy Majority Leader with the City Council, who requested that Councilman Newton and Anita look into my request to see if whether or not the city was justifiable in terminating me. It troubles me as a longtime community activist, someone who ran for mayor of the city of Bridgeport back in 1977, okay, because I care about this city. And Mayor Joe Ganim, you said give me a second chance. Why don't you give me a second chance to prove that I was unjustly terminated, okay? You have the same power that you ask people to give you your chance, okay? As someone who's been in the community for years and years, fighting for our people, giving our kids some kind of hope in terms of getting involved in their community to make it safe for them and for our kids to grow up in. And to have Joe Owens, the editor of the Connecticut Post, okay, say I'm a man of action because of the issues that I dealt with over the years. Most of these positions that I had were volunteer positions. Aide to Senator DiPiano, aide to Joe Lugo, okay, a workfare supervisor, 300 workfare recipients I had up under my command to supervise them around the city to help out wherever we could. Talk show with WDJZ with Russ Knight, okay? All right, Citizens Committee, okay, to inform, to help our people get justice in our neighborhoods, okay? Mike Daly talks about me putting more police in our projects, again, because I care about our community, I care about our people. And I'm saying to the Connecticut Post, okay, to Brian Luckhart, and to the editor of the Connecticut Post, give me my second chance. Me, Cecil Caesar Young, who was appointed by Mayor Tom Busey back in 1988 to supervise police details on Stratford Avenue because of the amount of killings, the amount of shootings that were going on the avenue for years and years, which caused the avenue to look like a ghost town, okay, over the years, okay? And it's trying to come back now, but it's taken a long time to recover from what it's been through. And I say again, it don't have to be that way. And that's why I say to all of those parties involved, I'm proud of the new Father Panic that we don't hear gunplay. I'm proud of the P.T. Barnum and the Trumbull Gardners and the Green Homes and the Father Panic. New Father Panic is a beautiful place. We need to do a study to find out why is it that it's so quiet now in public housing? Why is it that we don't have those tenants raising Cain about roaches and mouses and gunplay and drug dealers? Why is it that we don't see that going on in our projects now? Why is it? Why aren't we doing a study to find out what is making the difference? What is making the difference in people wanting to move into public housing, whereby before some of them wanted to move out because of the crime, because of the drugs and all the above. It's not like that now. Father Panic is a beautiful place to live. Marina Village have beautiful apartments to live inside of. I mean, we've come a long way in Bridgeport. And you see it's quiet now. And let's say, why is it quiet now? Because people got a little justice. They got a little something that makes them feel like worthwhile saying something about where they live. And it makes a difference when they do get involved in saying something about where they live, okay? And all I'm saying to you is that, hey, me, Cecil Caesar Young, like I said before, all right? It was me who saved Officer Tony Simmons on Stratford Avenue, who was doing a thing with no loitering on Stratford Avenue, okay? He was shot, okay, by a friend of mine, okay, at that time, okay, who got into a little misunderstanding with him, okay, and he ended up shooting the two cops, Charles Smith, who, you know, Charles Smith, the basketball player, his father was shot, Charles Smith, and also Tony Simmons. When Tony Simmons was shot, I went and got my keys from Craig Kelly at that time, okay, who was a part of a group that he was a part of, and I was a part of my group, and I told him to give me the keys to my car, and I picked Tony Simmons off the ground and dragged him into the backseat of my car, and I said, I have a police officer shot, and we took him into the hospital, and we saved his life that day, okay, by bringing him to the hospital, and I thank God for that, okay, because he didn't deserve to be shot. And what troubles me is that now I'm running around with a brace on my back, okay, that I got to wear almost every day, okay, a back brace every day almost, because I was attacked by speaking out at City Council about my unjust termination and about my rights being violated by city and state officials, okay, and I was banned from City Hall from speaking for what? Because I had the nerve to say I'm tired of being treated like a nigger, I'm a black man, and I said that because of what? Because I was tired of being treated that way. With someone who's done all of what I've done in the years in this city, and to be treated that way is a shame and a disgrace. And all I'm saying is that, hey, you have overwhelming evidence showing that I was unjustly terminated, and all I'm saying is that, and for them to say that the city said, that for them to lie on the union and say that the union agreed with them, with the city, the union did not agree with the city. The union said, make me whole. Reinstate me, make me back whole. All right, they did not do that. Why didn't they want to do that? Right? But instead they lied on the city, said that the union agreed with them. The union did not agree with them. They agreed with me that the city was unjustified, it was not justifiable in terminating me. And that's why I'm saying to the governor, to the mayor, to Senator Gaston, I don't know why you don't want to contact me based on this letter that I asked you to look into. okay, to see if whether or not the city was justifiable in terminating me. And I was calling on you to look into this matter as my state senator. He would not even return my call at all. And I said, why? Why is it that our black minorities, our elected officials get in positions of authority, they forget where they come from. They forget about the importance of practicing what they preach, all right, instead of what they teach. And I'm saying it's a shame and it's a disgrace that I myself, Cecil Young, a 75-year-old African-American man, okay, that was saying that I was going for a colon exam on the 17th. You have proof of that, showing that Dr. Evans' secretary, assistant, approved the fact that I was going for a colon exam. You see that in black and white. You see a time card here showing that I went to work on the day in question, yet and still I was so-called allegedly terminated. Why? Because I so-called did not come to work when there's proof that I did come to work. And the question is, why did Dr. Evans change her mind? Because she got pressure from the mayor saying, all right, Dr. Evans, he made you look like a fool, Dr. Evans. What are you going to do? So what she did was, even though she gave permission for Ether to approve me and to approve me getting work on that date, all right, she ended up going along with the mayor and signing off saying that I was terminated for not coming to work when it's black and white that I did come to work. And you want to know why come I have extreme anxiety? Why come I suffering from extreme anxiety? Tell them what kind of pressure they call me to go up under with this extreme anxiety case over here, my dear.
Okay. This is a questionnaire from
All
June.
these days I could have been out of work for physical damage. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm going to do Dr. Wainick's.
Yeah, let's give a summary of that. I could have been out on these here.
Okay.
Too.
All right, we'll do Dr. Walters first. In the lumbar spine questionnaire of June 10, 2009, Albert Walters, MD, reported the claimant was diagnosed with persistent low back pain due to degenerative disc disease. The claimant had positive objective signs of muscle spasm and impaired sleep. His medications caused him drowsiness. His condition was expected to last at least 12 months. Dr. Walters opined that in an 8-hour day, the claimant could occasionally lift/carry less than 10 pounds, stand/walk for less than 2 hours, and sit for less than 2 hours. He would need a job that permits shifting positions at will from sitting, standing, or walking, and would need to take unscheduled breaks during an 8-hour shift. The claimant was restricted from twisting, stooping, bending, crouching, squatting, and climbing ladders or stairs. He had significant limitations with repetitive reaching. Dr. Walters opined that in an 8-hour day, the claimant could use his hands 90%, fingers 90%, and arms 20%. He would have good and bad days and would be absent from work about 2 days per month due to his impairment. And it gives Exhibit 26F, pages 1 through 4. If you go down, let's say skip the next paragraph, we're going to read Dr. Mark Wainick diagnoses. The claimant has also been treated for depression and anxiety, and a list of exhibits. In the mental evaluation of March 27, 2006, Mark Wainick, MD, diagnosed the claimant with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. The claimant was prescribed medications, and this is on Exhibit 1F, pages 4 through 7. In the mental questionnaire of June 14, 2009, Dr. Wainick reported that the claimant was diagnosed with major depression with moderate difficulties in the ability to relate to other people, restriction of daily activities, comprehend and follow instructions, perform work requiring frequent or minimal contact with others and perform complex, repetitive, and varied tasks. His prognosis was guarded. His condition was expected to last at least 12 months or longer. Dr. Waynett further opined that the claimant was totally disabled from gainful employment, and another exhibit listed 23F, pages 1 and 2.
Okay, and this is what troubles me. See, you see what happened? All right, as I said before, I could have been taken off work because of my back, because I had back problems before I had this attack. But when I had the attack, it forced me to have to undergo an operation. It cost me 7.5 hours operating on my back, and my back ain't never been right since then, okay? I can't do too much of nothing at all. When I go to the grocery store, I gotta be walking with a carriage, or pushing around with a carriage. I'm trying to walk around the block from time to time where I live at, just to try to get me back in the habit of walking again. It's really been rough on me, okay? And it troubles me, okay, all of this happened because of me what? Exercising my First Amendment right to express myself about how I feel about they treated me, because I had the audacity to want to complain about people's rights being violated by the way that they were treating people by leaving these contaminated dirt piles for kids to play on top of, and because I had enough nerve to care enough to want to say something about that, I ended up being so-called banned from speaking at City Hall for 3 years. Okay, I ended up being attacked, which caused me to have to go under operation for 7.5 hours, and the doctor told me that I better get back in there before it's too long, because the older you get, the worse it may be. And I said, no, you ain't getting back in my back no more, doc. I will live like this the rest of my life, okay, because I'm not gonna be caught in no wheelchair rolling me around no place. I got too much to do and too much more to say. So I hope to God that those who see this program will help me find an attorney, find someone that's willing to help me represent me in these matters, because I need help. I gave attorney John Williams $10,000. He promised to represent me as he would represent himself. Do you know he never showed up in court, not one time? So you say, how can I get a new trial? You can get a new trial just on that alone. I have overwhelming evidence pleading with John Williams to show up in court, John Williams, because they're going to throw my case out of court. And I believe the reason why they threw it out of court was because of the power that Gerald Wayner and them people had. These people got awesome power. And they figured that over the long run, Mike Cohad, Gerald Wayner, okay, been on this board for 20 years, and they figured, well, hey, look here, let's throw Cecil to the wolves, because if we end up ruling against Gerald Wayner and Mike Cohad and the rest of them, they're going to end up taking it out on them down the road with other clients. And remember, I'm just one client. These lawyers, these commissioners have the power to rule against the Connecticut Post. They have the power to rule against TV shows. They have the power to rule against anybody. And that's the reason why I believe the Connecticut Post is a little hesitant in responding to wanting to investigate these allegations. And again, I say to have the city council, okay, Councilman Newton and Councilman Martinez and them say point blank that they want this matter looked into and they want to be gotten back to. No one has gotten back to them at all pertaining to this matter, okay, other than me basically saying in essence, right, that why not? Why not? But here's what Newton and them asked them to do. Very clearly, what they asked them to do.
Yes, the letter is dated April 8th, 2025. The letter is to Mr. Garnett and referencing request to investigate Cecil's Young termination from the city of Bridgeport. Mr. Garnett, my council partner, Councilwoman Martinez, and I are writing to request your assistance in looking into a matter concerning a former city employee, Cecil Young, who has spoken during the past several city council meetings, presenting his case as to why he believed he was wrongfully terminated. We believe it is in the best interest of the city to investigate this matter and see that it is resolved. We ask that you review his case and assess whether there is any validity to his claims that he was mistreated before his termination. Once his case has been reviewed, we would like to schedule a meeting with the head of labor relations, Dr. Errol Skyers, and the chief administrative officers, and Mr. Young to discuss the findings of the review. Please let me know if there's any additional things I can do to help facilitate this inquiry. I appreciate any assistance I can receive on the matter. and is signed Ernest E. Newton and Anita L. Martinez.
And isn't that amazing? 2 city council persons asked them a year ago. All right, and this and Brian Luckhart, the Connecticut Post, please, Brian Luckhart, do a story on what these council persons asked to be done on my behalf. I have a right to have my matter be investigated, as others have a right to have their matter investigated. And the city has no problem in hiring private attorneys to investigate other matters, okay? Why do they have a problem with investigating my matter? And I'm saying the city councilman Newton and Anita Martinez put pressure on the mayor to do what he's sworn the oath to do. If the mayor asked for a second chance and he's gotten one, why don't they give me a second chance to prove my innocence? Okay, you've heard overwhelming evidence. Every one of the 20 council members got all of this information that I've just put on this show today. Every one of the city council members got this copy of every documentation. They have audio tapes of all of these shows. And again, like I said before, download the Cecil Young Show on YouTube 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Go to Soundview Media, YouTube, download the Cecil Young Show. You can get everything I've been saying here for the last 3 years, and everything I've been saying here has been basically the same thing over and over again. And I say to the city of Bridgeport, when are they going to comply to what Councilman Newton them asked them to comply with, other than give me the impression that what do I want? I want my name cleared. I have a right to clear my name. I have a right to get my job back. I have a right to be given a fair hearing, okay? Not this kind of cover-up that's been allowed to go on. And the only reason why it's been allowed to go on because these people got so much awesome power that people are afraid of them. And I can understand it. These people, they've been there, Gerald Wayne have been there for 20 years. Mike Coe had been there for 20 years. So who is Cecil Young? He's nobody. Don't worry about him. If we look out for Gerald Wayne and Mike Coe, they will take care of us with other cases down the road. And those who are involved in the media, who may be a little paranoid about wanting to rule against these people who've committed fraud, who violated the public trust, all right, maybe they're afraid to want to take action because they're afraid that maybe one of their employees might want to sue them. And the labor board may rule against them, and I can understand that. But what I'm saying is right and wrong is wrong. You see here my attorney, John Williams, I've warned him, I pleaded with him a number of times, John Williams, please show up in court. They're going to throw my case out of court, all right? Why hasn't he showed up in court? Because these people got so much power, all right, that apparently they're all afraid of him. And I'm saying to anyone of any concern, those who human rights, those minority groups, those groups that are not minority, white and black, please help me expose this injustice, because what happened to me could happen to you, and I'm pleading with you. Don't do me no favor. Don't give me no ups. Just call it the way you see it. I have produced overwhelming evidence in black and white, all right, confirming the fact that, hey, Cecil Young is totally disabled. For 20 years, I have not worked in 20 years. Why? Because I was physically attacked and had to undergo an operation that caused me 7.5 hours to not be able to do anything, too much of anything at all no more. Physically, okay, psychologically, okay, I'm burnt out over the thought of knowing that I can't sleep, that I have unrest 24/7 over the thought of knowing what they did to me and they did to my family. They destroyed my family to a great degree, okay? I lost a beautiful woman, okay, her name was Patricia Nichols, okay, who stood with me. She stood with me to help me get the justice that I've been denied, okay? She got married. We got married on this same date, huh? How could she have been on my policy if we didn't get married? Look at the date, on the 15th was when we signed up, all right, in order for her to be able to get the benefits that I gave her on March 17th, okay? And I say shame on the city of Bridgeport to ignore this. My wife is no longer here now because of the stress that they put on me and put on her. All right, she ended up having a massive heart attack, okay, a stress attack over the fact that, okay, she was forced to have to smoke night after night, day after day, because she wrote everybody under the sun for the last 15 years, pleading with them to look into her husband's situation pertaining to his unjust termination. That's all she was asking y'all to do, and you couldn't do that for her, not for me, and for why not? An employee who had been with the city for 27.5 years, huh? That have been with the city for 27.5 years, and because I had the nerve to want to speak out about these terminated dirt piles, I say shame on you. Come on, y'all. Help me, help you, help yourself. Yes, it cost the city $250,000 to remove these terminated dirt piles. Yes. Is that the reason why they just tore down the city health department building on 752 East Main Street? Because I said back then it was a sick building that could come down and cause people cancer and other types of problems that they would not be able to recover from. A number of people have died because I understand cancer causes, okay? And we don't know for sure whether totally because of the building, but the building is no longer there now. Why? because it was so-called called a sick building. It was a building that was so-called rehab to a degree, covered up. But a lot of the contamination in that building began to seep out and affect those employees that were there working for the city, and a number of them have passed away. Harold Fair, health care director, I believe, passed away from cancer. Jody, another lady who passed away, I believe, from cancer. A number of people have come down with sickness in that building because of that building, I believe. And that's why I'm saying to you, Ernest Newton, 19 years ago, I took you to this pile. And I'm saying to you, Ernest, you knew what I was talking about. You knew what I've been complaining about. And I'm saying, thank God that you finally said something on my behalf. But I say to you, Ernest, now let's put the mayor on the spot to do what he said he's going to do, which is to do what he was sworn the oath to do, which is to be fair and impartial. Why not be fair and impartial for someone like me who worked for the city for 27 and a half years, who always fought about putting more police in public housing, who always talked about housing authority woes and other woes in this city. Please help me, help you, help yourself so that no one else will have to go through what I've been through. And I thank God for him giving me the ability, the power to do what I've been able to do over these years, because if it wasn't for him giving me the gift that I have, I would not have been able to speak up for the many people that I've helped over the years. And I thank God for him giving me that authority and that power to help my people who've been in bondage for years and years to overcome many of the things they've been forced to have to deal with. And I thank you for listening to the Cecil Young Show. And again, tell your neighbors, tell your friend to download the Cecil Young Show. Comes on 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Soundview Media and YouTube. Download the Cecil Young Show. And as they said, how could I lose with the stuff I've used? There's no way in the world it should be that bad. And I say to you, please help me before it's too late. Thank you. And God bless you.